Hello and thanks for joining me. I'm in the workshop today with my Triumph Scrambler 1200, and this video is going to be of interest to you if you want to do your own maintenance work on your bike, or if you just want to be able to check out and reset fault codes, or probably most importantly, if you want to be able to get rid of that annoying spanner that appears on the dashboard to tell you that you are due or overdue a service. So if you're interested in any of those things, stick around and I'll explain what you can do. Now, I've been working on bikes my whole life and it's always been an important part of ownership for me. I really enjoy working on my bikes, but of course with older bikes like my old Triumph T140, that's very easy. You just get your spanners out and get on with it. But of course with modern bikes it's not so easy because it's all computerized. You've got your ECU, so many things are controlled through the ECU. So many things you can't do without access to the ECU, so you've just got to be able to access it. Now, I used to have a BMW GS 1200, and when I bought that, in order to do the work on it, I bought this thing, which is known as the GS 911. So if any of you are BMW owners or previous BMW owners, you may be familiar with that. It plugs into the diagnostic socket, you then link it up via USB to a laptop where you can then download and do all sorts of analysis adjustments and things, the electronic adjustment, adjust the electronic suspension. You can do various parameters around the engine. You can do things like purge the ABS and bleed the ABS system. Things which are just impossible unless you're able to gain access to the ECU. So when I bought my Triumph, of course, I wanted to be able to do the same. So I had a look around the different options, and what I've gone with is the DealerTool. Now they're a British company, DealerTool, and they sell this dongle, which I'm holding up here. This dongle which connects to your bike, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment. The other end connects to a PC or a laptop. You then download the required software onto your laptop, wire it all up to the bike, and you can get into the ECU and do all of the diagnostics, make the changes that you want, and I'll go through all of that with you right now. But of course, before I do anything on the bike, I've got to get a brew on the go. Always the most important bit of equipment in the workshop is a good cup of Yorkshire tea. Anyway, tea brewed, let's get on with it. Let's have a look at the bike. To gain access to the ECU diagnostic input on the Scrambler, you've got to remove the left hand cover here, which just pulls off. It's just clipped on. So pull it off like this and you gain access to the fuse box underneath here. And importantly, this plug here, if you pull that out, it's just tucked in, it's not actually plugged into anything. That is your plug then to plug in your diagnostics. So what you get from DealerTool is this dongle here, which you can see the end plugs in, and then on this end it's got a USB cable. Just undo the tie on this. It's got a USB cable which plugs into the laptop. So I'll plug this in here, and then I'll grab my laptop and plug that in to the USB here on the other end. So now I've got my laptop set up and plugged into the dongle, so we're ready to actually connect it to the bike. And in order to do that, you need to switch on the ignition of the bike. So press it up first to get the ignition on, and then into the run position. So if you just switch the ignition on but don't put it into the run position, it won't switch on the diagnostic tool. You don't need to start the engine, you just need the ignition in the run position. Now we can connect the laptop to the ECU and start using this DealerTool. Okay, hopefully you can see the laptop screen there, there's not too much glare. So you can see I've got the DealerTool software loaded. So the first thing is, if you tap on the top one there, ECU data, and read ECU data, and what that does then, it actually reads the ECU and recognises that I have registered this particular ECU, i.e. this particular bike, with DealerTool, and therefore I can use it. And so it's received the data, it's acknowledged that this ECU is registered. So if I click on back to the main page, then I can then start using DealerTool, and across the top here, it might be too small for you to see, but there's a whole menu of different things that you can do. So I won't go through all of them now, because probably I'll make some videos in the future where I'm actually using the tool for specific things. But particularly useful things to look at straight away is firstly check for faults. So I've just clicked on that one. It's now reading the ECU for any fault codes, and it will bring those up. And if there are fault codes, then I also have the facility to clear them off here. But hopefully there won't be any, because I haven't got any issues with the bike. And it's read all the fault codes, and you can see it says there are no fault codes. So if there were, I could clear them there, but there's no fault codes. Now you can test. So if you go into test mode, I'll just tap on that one. If you go into test mode, it lets you test all of the electrical or electronic systems. You can see there's a list down the screen. If you can't read it, fuel pump, cooling fan, exhaust, motor, open and close test, instrument panels, or the whole list of things there, lamps, accessories, etc. And you can test each of those systems separately if you need to run some diagnostic tests. Another useful one here is the ABS, which I mentioned earlier. Comes up with a little warning here, basically saying, you know, don't mess around with the brakes if you don't know what you're doing. And here then that allows you to then connect to the ABS unit. You can check any faults on the ABS, but also importantly, if you are bleeding your brakes, it lets you bleed the ABS system, purge any air or any old fluid out of the ABS system, which is so important if you want to do the servicing yourself. So I'll come out of that one, and then of course the one which most people are going to be interested in here is if I click on the instruments one. That is where you can reset your service interval. So you can set your service interval in terms of mileage or in terms of time, number of days till the next service interval. That allows you to get rid of that spanner icon on your dash, which is telling you you're overdue a service. Also useful here, if you live in the UK, you can switch between miles per hour or kilometers per hour. So if you live in the UK, obviously you want it in miles per hour, but if you go touring on the continent, it might be worth switching it to kilometers per hour, just easier for reading the speedo. Many other functions on here as well, but I'm just outlining some of the main ones. So I hope that was a useful quick overview of this software and dongle setup, DealerTool. I have to emphasize that I have no connection with this company at all. I just looked around for options of what were available and decided to go for this one. It was only £60 plus postage, and it's a British company, and so far it's been excellent. I've been very happy with everything that it does. It works faultlessly, so I would really recommend it if you own a Triumph. Hope you found that useful. Hope you found it interesting. See you again next time. Bye.